second draw application is here. Now, this is for anyone who is self-employed, any independent contractors. Doesn't matter if you're an Uber driver, you're a 1099 worker for any company, or any small business owner. This is the application for you, second draw Paycheck Protection Program funding, forgivable loan. So for some context, they updated the PPP application last week. We received it, we looked over it. However, we quickly found many errors and omissions on that application. So thankfully, the application is back. It's up on the SBA website and it's updated for the second round. Now, this is really important because the PPP Round 2 opens back up on January 11th, very soon. So in this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step how to fill out this application. There are some confusing changes with wording from the first time around, so I thought it was necessary to break this down completely again. There was a lot of research I had to do. I'm really excited about this because I've spent literally all morning researching this and making a foolproof step-by-step. That way it's as easy as possible for you. So don't worry, even though it's kind of confusing, I did all the research for you so you don't have to. How I would recommend watching this is to watch through the entire thing once just so you have an understanding of how it works and what you need to complete this application and get your place in line. And then save this video by either liking it so it's in your liked videos or email it to yourself or something like that. So then when you're ready to do this application, you can just play this video while you're filling it out yourself, and I can help make this process much, much easier. So we're going to talk a little bit about the application process, give some context, then I'm going to go through the entire application step by step. Every single checkbox, every single blank I'm going to cover. Then I'm going to finish off by letting you know exactly which documents you need alongside this application to get the complete loan process done. This way, you're able to get your slice of the PPP funding straight away before it runs out, because we just do not know how long this is going to last. The very first round of funding, it didn't last long, so let's get our place in line and have all the paperwork in order. So jumping right in, the White House and the SBA announced the PPP forgivable loans will start again on the 11th of January. However, for at least 2 days, it's going to only be available to a smaller group of businesses or self-employed individuals. This is going to go to, first off, people who didn't receive the first round. So if that's you, this round 2 application won't be for you. You're going to use the round 1 application. I have other videos on that. And it's going to go through minority institutions and community-based lenders. There's a heavy focus on getting funding through those smaller-based lenders to get then funding to smaller businesses, businesses that are more in need. There's a heavy emphasis here to get it to the smallest, most in need businesses, because that was a huge complaint the first time around. There was all these public companies getting funding, companies with thousands of employees. It was nonsense. And I think everyone was rightfully frustrated with this. I know when I very first applied, it was extremely frustrating to see all these huge companies get funding. Well, really no small business was getting funding. They have way more access to outside capital. They have lawyers. It was nonsense. So priority is also going to go to companies with fewer than 10 employees. And this counts self-employed people and contractors. You would just count as 1 employee, and there will be a priority to low income areas. There's actually 60 billion of the round 2 PPP funding is going to these specific areas, the businesses and the people most in need. That's around 20% of the total funding for those areas specifically. And then on top of the second round being very selective in the first days on who can apply in the first days, they're saying only 2 days. We might see that extend a little bit longer, but as of right now, everyone else can apply on Wednesday, the 13th. There are some additional rules, though, that apply for the second round as well. You must have fewer than 300 employees. You must show a 25% reduction in quarterly sales, and the loan size is capped at $2 million this time as opposed to $10 million the first time around. So it's best to get in line right now. How I recommend doing that, if you have a good lender from the first time around, confirm that they are doing the second round of funding. And if they are, try and get on some waiting list. If you didn't have a great experience with them or you want to apply through someone else, I recommend checking out Womply. This is who I'm going to use the second time around for funding. There's a link in my description for them, and I've partnered with them as well. I think they're offering a great service. You can sign up with them. They'll let you know when this first round of funding has started, and they'll send you an email that allows you to even start the application. So then that way you can hit the ground running as soon as this funding is available. I think it's worth checking out if you don't already have a good relationship with whoever lent you money the first time around. So moving on to the application, I have it up here on my computer. I'm just going to go through every single box and explain any nuances as we proceed through the application. Starting off, the very top is the exact same as the first time around. You're just going to want to check the box for the entity type. In this case, I put LLC. I'm just kind of doing a fake business here. Put in your DBA or trade name. If you don't have one, leave that blank. The year of establishment of your business or service. If you're a sole proprietor, that might be a little bit weird, but just the time you started doing that service. Your business's legal name. This is likely going to have like LLC at the end. If you're a sole proprietor, it might just be your name. Your NAICS code. Now, this wasn't in the first application, at least not on this form itself. The easiest way to find this is to search NAICS code and then whatever industry your business is in. So for myself, I search NAICS code moving and storage, and I came up with this code 484210. That's the easiest way to do it. There's entire directories, but Google is pretty good at just giving you that code. Now you just need your business address. That's pretty self-explanatory. Your business EIN number or your social security number if you're self-employed and you don't have an entity, you're a sole proprietor or you're a contractor, that'll just be your social security number. Business phone number, primary contact for the business is probably you if you're a sole proprietor. Your business email address. And then now we get to where the application has changed a little bit. So first thing, average monthly payroll. So to get this, you're going to take your 2019 total payroll, divide that by 12, and then multiply that by 2.5. Now it says for NAICS code 72, you're going to actually multiply that by 3.5. Now the NAICS code 72 is hospitality companies, restaurants, and any accommodation or food service sector business. So basically anyone who's providing meals, lodging, snacks, or beverages for immediate use, that's the code 72, and you get a 3.5 multiple. So that's a big difference if you're in one of those areas. It makes sense. It's a more hard hit area. And then your number of employees. Now this doesn't really matter like the EIDL application. Don't worry if you only have a couple employees, it's not going to actually change. It's based on your payroll amount. I just put 10 here to keep it simple. Now for your average payroll amount, if you're self-employed or a partnership and you don't have employees, you're going to put in your earnings. Your Schedule C, line 31, if you're self-employed, you're going to take that total amount, divide it by 12, and put that there. And then you're going to times that by 2.5 or 3.5 respectively. Now you move on to the purpose of the loan. First is payroll costs. This is pretty obvious. This includes wages, commissions, tips, vacation pay, leave pay, health benefits, anything not in excess of $100,000 per employee per year. And this also applies for contractors and self-employed people. If you made $200,000 in profit, you can only use $100,000. And then you're going to divide 100,000 divided by 12, put that in the average monthly payroll box, multiply it by 2.5 or 3.5. Rent and mortgage interest costs, that one's pretty obvious. Utility expenses at your place of business. Covered operation expenditures. This is one of the changes from the first round. Now, this one's a little bit weird, but this is basically what it covers. Any business software or cloud computing service that is necessary in business operations is covered by this. So this could be something like Slack, your CRM for your business, calendar apps, kind of any software that you pay for that is necessary for the operations of your business. Next, we have covered property damage. I didn't check this one because I think most people are not going to check this one for their business. Basically, this covers any vandalism or looting that happened in 2020 that was not already covered by insurance elsewhere. So this is very specific. I don't think very many people are going to use that one. Then we have covered supplier costs. Now, this is the cost of goods from suppliers that are necessary to operations. This one has some gray area there as to what is included. You can kind of think of it as cost of goods sold. If you have a service type business, chances are that's pretty darn low. If you sell a product, that might be higher for your business. Next, we have covered worker protection expenditures. That one's kind of obvious as well, but it's money spent to keep employees safe since March 1st, 2020, basically from the pandemic. This could be like face shields, masks, those plastic barriers at places of businesses, testing, things like that are covered and forgivable through this second draw loan. And then just remember that still 60% of this loan needs to go to payroll related expenses in order to get the entire thing forgiven. 40% can go on these other items. And then it says to put in your first draw loan number that will be on your loan forms from the first time around. And then we're moving on to another change in this application. Let me just scroll down here real quick. Another change in this application. So this is where you need to show the 25% reduction in gross receipts or revenue from 2019 to 2020. They basically just want to show that you were actually affected by the pandemic. I know a lot of businesses actually had more revenue in 2020, and that's preventing those people from being, a part of the second draw loan. So in order to show this, you need to choose the quarter that's going to be the reference, and then the quarter that is going to be the comparison in 2019. So you just write it in this format. I did second quarter for this example, just 2Q 2020. If it's quarter one, you just do 1Q 2020 and so on. Then you do the gross receipts for 2019 on the right-hand side. For this one, I did $150,000 for this example. And then you do the gross receipts for 2020 of that same quarter. On the left-hand side, I did $100,000. So that's a more than a 25% reduction in sales. That's 33% reduction in sales. So in this case, we would be good to go. Now, I've had a few people say that they're like 24 point something percent. In this case, I would just try. It rounds up to 25. I would just recommend trying. It doesn't hurt to try and apply. Moving on from here, we have applicant ownership. So this is any owner who owns at least 20% of the business. You're going to put in their ownership percentage, their title, their social security number, their address. And yeah, if you need more than 2 spaces, you're going to have to attach a page at the bottom or at the end of the application. Now we're moving into some questions. This is where there were some major changes from the first time around. There's a lot more questions added and some confusing terms that I had to look up to make sure I knew what exactly they were talking about. So let's quickly go through these questions. The first one, are you debarred from a transaction by a federal agency or involved in a bankruptcy right now? Chances are the answer is no. Number 2, have you ever obtained an SBA or government loan that defaulted in the last 7 years? Hopefully no. Number 3, do you have common ownership with any other businesses? If yes, add a sheet at the end. This might be a yes for many people who have common ownership. So the same percentage ownership for multiple businesses, you're gonna have to add that at the end. Number 4, are you or any other owner of the business incarcerated or subject to criminal charges? Hopefully no. If yes, you will not be able to get this forgivable loan. Number 5, have you been involved or anyone affiliated or has more than 20% ownership of the business involved with a felony on a federal assistance loan application in the last 5 years? Yes or no? I feel like that one's kind of lenient. That one made me laugh a little bit. Like 6 years, you know what? You did that 6 years ago. You're good to go. 6 years, yeah, that's fine. 5 years though, you don't apply. Number 6, is the U.S. the place of residence for all employees? Yes or no? And then we move down. There's even more questions, a lot more questions. This is when things get a little bit more confusing. Not the first one though. Were you in operation before February 15th, 2020 and haven't closed permanently? That's a good question because of course if you close permanently, you don't need a loan to keep your business alive. So that's another question that I've received a lot of times. What if I started my business in like May or something like that? Before February 15th, 2020. Number 2, you're certifying that you need the loan to support your business operations. Number 3, you saw a quarterly reduction in sales of more than 25%. And if your loan size is more than $150,000, you need to prove this beforehand. Otherwise, you'll need to prove it after you try to forgive this loan. Either way, have the documentation. If it's a larger loan, you're gonna need to prove that reduction beforehand. Number 4, you have used the entire loan from the first time around before using this loan. Now this is one I hope to see a little bit more guidance on because what does use mean? Let's say you have $50,000 in your business bank account, you got a $20,000 loan, it's in your bank account, you now have $60,000 in your bank account. Yeah, I used it, but I have money in my account. This is kind of a weird one. I think that probably won't matter. I think they're probably not going to check that kind of thing, but it's just a kind of a weird one. The next question, you will only use this loan for authorized purposes. You can't buy any Rolexes or Lamborghinis like that guy tried to do a few months ago. No crazy business like that. And we found out these people get caught, so don't do that. Number 6, you understand forgiveness is given if the loan is spent on the correct things, the things they outline, payroll expenses and so on. and you may be required to provide documentation to prove what you spent these things on. Next, you haven't already received the second loan and you won't get another second loan. They're not saying if there's a third round, you don't get that. They're just saying don't apply for the second draw twice and you haven't already applied for that. Number 8, you haven't nor will you receive the shuttered venue operator grant. So you can't do both, I suppose. Number 9, no high-up politicians have ownership in this business. Number 10, your company is not on a national securities exchange. Basically, you're not a public company. I loved to see that one on there because we don't want public companies taking all this funding. Next, you don't have a business with ownership by the People's Republic of China or close ties with the People's Republic of China. And then next, you don't represent the interests of foreign powers. If you do, you would likely know. If not, obviously, you can check that box. Next, you aren't engaged in lobbying interests. Next, and we're getting close to the end here, the information is accurate, otherwise you're going to go to jail basically forever. And then finally, your lender will confirm the information you provided. You certify that, good to go. And then you'll just go ahead and sign this application, date it, and write your title down, and then you're good to go. Now let's move on to the paperwork that you need alongside this application to get everything squared away and get your funding as quickly as possible. First, you're going to need this application completed. You're going to have your full contact information, your email address, a list of all the owners who own more than 20%, indicate your business type, whether you're an independent contractor, sole proprietor. There's slightly different requirements for those contractors and sole proprietors. Number 2, you're going to need your average monthly payroll costs. This includes wages, commissions, tips, vacation leave, anything not in excess of $100,000. We know this based on the application. Then we need proof of payroll or self-income. Now this is where you're going to start needing documents. You'll need one of the following: either IRS Form 940 for 2019, IRS Form 941 for all quarters of 2019, IRS Form 944 for 2019, or payroll processor records that show the payroll that you are spending. That is for people with employees. If you're a partnership without employees, you'll need a 2019 Schedule K. If you show no profit on line 14A, you unfortunately do not qualify for this PPP Round 2 loan. You have to show income in order to get this loan because that's what it's based off of. And then if you're a self-employed individual or you're sole proprietor or contractor, you will need a 2019 1040 Schedule C, and you will also need to show profit on line 31, same thing as the partnership. Number 4, you will need proof of ownership. You need each owner's name and social security number and one other document for proof of ownership. This could be articles of incorporation or a 1040 Schedule C or a W-9 form, some document that shows this proof of ownership. Next, number 5, you need a government ID for all owners who own more than 20% of the business. Number 6, you need email addresses for all owners over 20%. Number 7, you need banking information for your business, electronic banking information. That way the funds can be deposited once your application is approved. And then finally, number 8, if you have a business entity, you will need a certificate of good standing from your Secretary of State. This doesn't apply for contractors or sole proprietors, but to find this, just Google search your state's name followed by Certificate of Good Standing, Secretary of State, and you should be able to do this online. It's not a tough process. And that'll do it. Hopefully this helped you get the funding for your business. If you appreciated this, please like this video, subscribe for more updates, and share this with a fellow self-employed person, business owner, so on. I think this will benefit you and them a whole lot. Also, chances are if you're watching this, you're pretty entrepreneurial in spirit. Check out the link in my description for my course on how to start and run a profitable moving company. I worked super hard on that. I own a moving and storage business. I'm really excited about it. It's been doing awesome so far. So that's going to do it for today. I would like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.